How's it going, everyone? Today we're playing ARK Survival Evolved, and I figured I'd take a few minutes and make a video, talk about leveling and kind of things you're going to see when you first get in the game. I know this past weekend was free to play and there's a lot of new faces, so hopefully I can save y'all some hours of grief and failed experiences that I had when I first started playing. Um, the best way, I know a lot of the leveling guides, especially if you watch them on YouTube and whatnot, a lot of them will say, you know, you're going to spend your first 10 levels or so gathering berries, making paper and making hats to do a quick level. I suppose this is a way to level up quickly. It's not the way that I choose to go. I know a lot of people say avoid dinosaurs, but when I start out, one of the first things I like to do is get some spears. I like to start near the water, and I'll explain why here in a little bit. But the absolute fastest way to level, if you can, especially if you're playing online, level up with a friend. If y'all can both start the game together and join a tribe, you'll get shared experience, and especially when you actually get some dinosaurs and you go around killing dinosaurs, this end up helping a lot. And it is by far the fastest way, especially over leveling on your own. A lot of people starting off, if you are going to level with a friend, other than your base stats right here, you'll get these things called engrams every time you level, and what it will do is allow you to actually skip some things and level up quicker. Like you can have one person focus on armor and weapons and storage, and another person focus on buildings. The person who does the buildings, especially if they play a lot by themselves offline, they are going to level or when you're offline, they're going to level faster. Buildings tend to give the most experience when you craft the items. A couple things starting out, you are going to want your hatchet. A spear is a really good thing to learn. If you have to choose, I'd choose these first. The campfire is a good thing to come get, but most of the time, more often than not, along the beach, you'll find other people's campfires that you can actually put some wood in yourself and use to cook your food. And starting out, in order to skip doing the whole let's live off berries, because berries don't actually tend to give you a lot of health and everything else and keep your hunger up, which is one of the more annoying parts of the game. I like to start out around the south and set up on the beach. The island in the bottom left, that's called Noob Island. Typically there's not a whole lot of carnivores that go down there, and it's an easier place when you're setting up by yourself to start at. But if you're on an online server, chances are that there will be a base set up there, but it is worth a check out if you can. The south will be easier over the north because the north will have weather elements that you have to deal with starting out. But if you set up on the water, you don't have to go back. You don't have to go back whenever your guy gets thirsty. You can jump in the water, hit E, drink some water. If you set up a base too far inland before you get irrigation, you'll have to do a lot with whenever you're harvesting. You'll have to run back out to the water, drink up, come back in. On that note, irrigation is a good thing to pick up whenever you get there. Run a little bit up to your base, do a tap. Whenever it rains, this will fill up your thirst for you. But let's go back to food. If you get a spear basic setup, there's a couple animals that are easy to kill that give a lot of meat, but they're going to run off, so in the beginning you won't be able to get them. If you learn the attack patterns, it will make your life easier. And what I mean by this is, while turtles have a lot of armor, you'll need to carry at least 3 spears before you go attack one, because you'll break a couple of them. But you can typically, if you just start a fight with a turtle, you can get about 2 stabs in and keep walking backwards. Turtles are very slow naturally, and about after 2 strikes, you're gonna have the turtle swing its head, and then you can go in and you can strike it again. What else? Dilos, the ones that you see in Jurassic Park that will spit the venom in your face. Those are a big pain in the beginning until you figure out that if you keep attacking a dilo, being aggressive, walking up on it, and you don't put the distance in there, it won't spit the acid on your face. They actually die pretty easily. Your life gets a lot easier once you figure that out. Um, let's see, Trikes. Trikes are a little trickier to learn, but as long as you have some pretty good frame rates and pretty good response time, if you keep attacking a trike from the back, you can kill it pretty easily without actually getting struck. It keeps spinning in circles, and you pretty much just sidestep and keep striking it. What else is easy? Dodos are pretty easy to kill in the beginning. Get a couple hide, probably about 2 meat, 1 hide if you're lucky off each one, but they will break spears, so if you can, they're not the most efficient thing with a dodo. I would actually recommend whacking it with a hatchet. It's going to be about 4 swings instead of like 1 or 2 spear stabs, so it's worth saving the spear on that. Taming does take a while, especially depending on the level. Hold on a second. Let's see. Raptors are always annoying to attack this pretty quick. They kind of spaz out all over the place. But most animals, as you'll see here in a minute, as long as you stay on top of them and you keep attacking, they are pretty easily to kill. There are some larger dinosaurs that will wreck you pretty quickly, but a lot of the smaller ones are very manageable. Let's see what else. As far as leveling goes, you're gonna start out, and if you're playing online, until you get a good little defense set up with some spike walls and whatnot, you are gonna get frustrated if you play like an hour at a time, set up part of a base, log out, come back the next day. You're gonna find some dinosaurs came through and wrecked your stuff. So if you have the time, I would recommend getting a good solid base set up with some basic defense. Once you do get up to having some dinosaurs, it becomes a little bit easier because they'll sit there and they'll guard for you at night. I think near the higher level of around 70 or so, you can get auto turrets, which make life easy. Let's see. As far as stats go, I know a lot of people tell me they like to do fortitude up to level 10 so they can kind of survive the elements better. I used to do this until I figured out your basic armor set will take care of the weather for you. I typically start out putting stats and health. I usually get my health up to around 200. As I level up past 25, I'll start getting it up to way farther past that, but I usually get up to around 200. One thing to keep in mind, if you want to do a lot of water stuff later on, oxygen's a good one to start doing around mid-game. I know some people do weight. I typically don't because the dinosaurs will start carrying stuff for you and have their own weight class. Movement speed and stamina and health are probably the 3 that I would recommend starting out. They'll make your life a lot easier. And melee damage. Now, the melee damage stat is a little bit deceptive. Every skill point you put into it gives you a 5%. And what this each 5% does is a base stat multiplier for your weapons, and for your tools, and for your punching. So what this means is your tools will actually allow you to gather faster, which helps out tremendously. Let's see. Once you do start getting set up, like I said, run some irrigation to your base. That'll help out quite a bit. You'll get your own campfire set up. You can start farming, which will save you time on berries and everything else. As far as your dinosaurs go, every dinosaur, something to know that takes some people a while is every dinosaur plays a role. And here's an example of the drinking water and the irrigation keep me from having to go down to the river. But every dinosaur plays a role. Like the brontosaurus, or as they call them, the long necks. I know that they can swipe their tail and gather a lot of berries. Trikes are really good for gathering berries, which is why I'm taming one here. And raptors are really good for movement speed. They're not good for carrying a whole lot, but they can withstand a lot of damage, and they do a lot of DPS. So they're really good for base defense, leveling. Um, Another one, if you get a flying mount later in the game, those are definitely good for leveling, because you can fly around, come on top of a dinosaur, fly off. You don't have to worry too much, as long as you don't get hit with auto turrets, you don't have to worry too much about losing your dinosaur. T-Rexes will be siege weapons, mainly for breaking down buildings. Yeah, so that pretty much encapsulates everything. As far as starting out as a beginner, to recap, I would recommend having a friend to level with. Oh, dilos, the ones that spit the venom. Those are really easy to tame starting out. Better to tame than a dodo, and they'll definitely help you with some DPS and kind of a little bit of a crowd control as you take on some raptors and whatnot until you get your health up. Other things to note, when you swim through water, you're going to get attacked by piranhas more often than not. One thing I learned at the early levels, the game isn't exactly optimized yet, and I'm sure this might be fixed later on, but if you allow the piranhas to attack you, and they don't even really have to hit you, you just got to back up, take them into the shallow water. A lot of the time on the shallow water, they kind of glitch out, and they quote-unquote surface, so they drown, and you don't even have, you don't have to do any of the damage yourself. They'll just die. You can take your hatchet, you get a little bit of meat off of them, go back to your campfire, keep you rolling, keep you good, and yeah. Those are all good things to know. Oh, if you do get attacked, you're not ready to take on dinos, some of the dilos and stuff that will kind of take you on in the beginning of the game, if you get them to follow you into the water, sometimes they won't be able to swim and they'll drown themselves. The one thing to note is that if you do set up base and use the water strategy, I would set it up a little bit inland. As you can see, the river's down there, my base is over here. The reason being for this is a lot of the high-level carnos that will give you a lot of hard time, they'll come through, they'll come up the river, and they'll come up the river just to take out all the herbivores, and if you're there, they'll pick you off and eat you. Alright, well I hope this helped, and I hope you enjoy ARK.